Hello everyone, and welcome to the final segment for the BFC spoilers, which we're gonna cover the multicolor lands, the artifacts and the lands. So, starting off with Angelic Captain, we have a 5 mana 4/3 flyer that gets buffed for each other attacking ally when it attacks. So that card's strong for limited, obviously, because you're gonna have a bunch of allies. It's also a 5 mana 4/3 flyer. Otherwise it's just a pretty bland and boring card. Moving on, we have Bring to Light. So it's a 5 mana card that for each mana you spend to cast it, you get to search your library for an instant or sorcery or creature card with converted mana cost less than that. Let me rephrase this. So for each you search your library for a creature, instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors of mana you spend to cast it. If you exile it, then you have to play it immediately after the spell resolves. So it's not like you exile it and you play it whenever you want. You have to play it immediately. That being said, this card I don't see it very much for limited. I mean, you can grab your bomb or anything you need, like remove a spell. But cards like this tend to be found a way to break them. This is on the heads. It has a chance to be able to enable some combos. We'll have to wait and see. This is really hard to judge now. Moving on, we have Brood Butcher. It's a 5 mana 3/3 devoid. When he hits the battlefield, you put a 1/1, and by Gary mana you sacrifice a creature to make another creature get -2/-2. So this card is insanely strong and limited. It's removal on a stick, repeatable removal even. Plus it gives you a 1/1, so it already has something to sacrifice. Very strong card, always first pick it. Then we have Brutal Expulsion, sorry. And this is a very versatile element. It's an instant for 2 and instant mana. You will get to choose one or both. So you either unsummon a creature or you Mega Spray a creature or a walker. Or you can do both. I think this card is very strong. It's like on the edge of seeing modern play because it's 4 mana, so contests with critical command. If it was 3 mana, it would obviously be a little bit overpowered. But the fact that you can get a lot of 2/4 out of this card, that's obviously insane. So, obviously limited camp. Moving on, we have Catacomb Sifter. So it's a 3 mana 2/3 that when it's the battlefield you put a 1/1, so it's a 3 mana 3/4. And whenever another creature we control dies, we scry 1. So this card is insanely strong for an uncommon. It's like one of the bombing uncommons. It's like the Gorgon from Theros in terms of power level. But I think this guy has a potential to see some constructed play just because he's just so good and pretty much ramps you from 3 to 4 mana. And then 4 to 5 when you play land. Pretty bombing card for limited. Then we have Drana Semiseria, 3 mana 2/2 flyer, so already good. It's an ally, so it triggers our rallies. And at the beginning of your upkeep, it's going to lose 1 life and you gain 1 life. So it drains your opponent every turn. I think it's got very strongly limited, obviously. As all flyers are, so that's much about it. It's a very decent limited card. Moving on, we have Dust Stalker. It's a 4 mana 5/3 devoid haste. You end step, and if you control no other colorless creatures, you return it to its owner's hand. So again, this is pretty strong because it's a 5 mana 5/3 haster, and you don't have to return a creature every turn. It's just if you don't have another colorless creature. So this could see play in a standard environment if you could make a colorless aggressive deck for Rakdos colors. Yeah, I could see this guy being a finisher. Next we have Fumble Finder. So this guy is really interesting. It's Dimir mana for a 1/1, has death touch and it says, so this card is already very good and limited because it trades up. Then for 5 mana you do draw a card and remove one card from each opponent's library. So this card is already broken in Commander because you will find a way to get infinite mana and then use this guy to exile one of your opponent's decks, which won't take that much. And for standard it could be a possibility if you want to make like a disruption Dimir deck. For limiting it's obviously very good. Next we have another card that was spoiled from the first one. We have Forerunner of Slaughter. So it's Rakdos mana for a 3/2 devoid. For 1 colorless you make a colorless creature gain haste at the end of turn. So this guy has the potential. Also it's a very good card in limited obviously. 2 mana 3/2, really very good, with an upside even better. So he can make your colorless creature have haste for only 1 mana. So it's like each colorless creature you have has kicker 1, gain haste. I think this guy could enable some strategies in when constructed. I'll have to wait and see how the format shapes up first. Then we have Grove Rambler, another bomb limited uncommon, 4 mana for a 3/3, so he'll giant with Trample. First upside very good. Second upside he gets +2/+2, so a 5/5 when you play a land with Trample. Insane card, very strong. You don't usually first pick you go to Gruul, you wait for to rotate around, but in still this guy is insane. Then we have Grove Tended Druids, allies, yeah, rally triggered. 4 mana 3/3. When they enter the battlefield or another ally enters the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do, you get a 1/1 green plant token creature onto the battlefield. So you castle or realize 1 turn later and you get a 1/1. It's a pretty decent card, very good for limited. Then we have Herald of Kozilek. Oh boy, this card. 3 mana for a 2/4, your colorless spells cost 1 less to cast. So this card is very good in limited obviously because you're gonna have a bunch of colorless spells. In constructed, for standard we could see it in the Thopter deck, even though most of the cards rotate out, still there are many artifacts there. Cause your hunger back gets to cost a little bit less. There is a possibility that you can see this in Legacy because if you have 2 Sensei's Divining Top you can Infinite Storm. It might be magical crystals, but we will see. Then we have Kiora, Master of the Depths, our Threader Final Walker of the set. So she's at 4 mana, starts with 4 loyalty, great. +1, you untap 1 creature and up to 1 target land. So it gives a creature pseudo vigilance and you get 1 mana back. For -2, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library, you put a creature and land card to your hand, the rest go to the graveyard. So it has the potential of drawing 2 cards, pretty insane so far. And for the ultimate you get an emblem whenever a creature you control it's a battlefield fight another target creature, and then you get 3 Krakens. So this is a very good card in my opinion because it gives you lots of choices. It protects itself from attacking the creature, it gives you card advantage, and the ulti just win the games. That being said, in limited it's obviously a bomb. In standard I could see some seeming ramp strategy you want to run here. In commanders it's insane because you can get the emblem of a double execution in 1 turn. Under the domes it doesn't have much hope in other formats, but still a standard staple to the end of days, at least it rotates out. And we're going to have March from the Tomb. So 5 mana sorcery, you return any number of targeted like creatures with converted mana cost 8, total converted mana cost 8 or less for your battle. So a 3 mana, a 2 mana and another 3 mana for example. This card is actually pretty strong if you manage to make an ally deck. If not, don't even bother. But if you get to return anything away from 3 to 5 creatures, you're pretty good shape. that's pretty much about this card. Let's move into Munda, the Ambush Leader. So it's a 4 mana 3 for haste. And in the rally, when he enters the battle for another ally, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, you put the allies on top, the rest go to the bottom. So he doesn't give you the allies he had, obviously, because it will be broken. But that way, it's actually really nice as a card. Pretty interesting. It's like the Goblin Ringleader cycle. That being said, I don't see this guy making way constructed unless they manage to make the ally deck work. Otherwise, it's pretty good and limited. And moving on to Noyan Dar, Royal Saber. So it's a 5 mana for 4 that each is a sorcery spell you cast, you awaken 3 pretty much. So he's pretty nice for limited, obviously. I don't see how he could be playable and constructed, but I could see him as a commander card. He's also an ally, so he'd his rally. We've got a card I would like to see being played because it is Omnath, Locus of Raids. So it's a 3 colorless, double green, double red, 5/5. On a land you get a 5/5, and whenever another elemental dies, this damage like a creature from play. So we've got an insane limited bomb obviously here. He gives you 5/5s for land and bolts whenever one of your elementals die. So we have an insane commander also here. This is going to be very strong. It's contested as one of the best Gruul commanders. Now for standard, if there is a green red ram deck that can support him, he should definitely be tried out at least. We're going to Resolute Blade Master. We have a 5 mana 2/2, so horrible stats. Human Soldier ally, so trigger, rally, and he gives you creatures when he or another enters the battlefield, double strike and deals them. The effect is very strong. The thing though, it's a 2/2 body, makes him kind of weak, so you don't have to have too many of these guys, one is enough. We want to roll Spout of the 3 mana sorcery that pretty much time maps, and you can awaken 4 for 6 mana. Time map was always good and limited. This is good too because it has an upside, and that's pretty much about it. Removal is always good. This is removal with an upside, so I will take it. Moving on to the next one, Sire of Stagnation. It's 6 mana 5/7 devoid. When a land enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, that player exits 2 cards of his library and you draw 2 cards. So this card is insanely strong. It's an auto-winner limited. Also it's incredibly strong commander, since whenever your opponent plays a land, you get to draw 2 cards. Consecrated Sphinx was always insane, so this is even good. Even in the worst case scenario that the opponents don't play a land, so you don't draw your cards. Now for standard, in a blue control deck, if you really want to have a finisher or a creature to come in early in the movie, and I think this card will be insanely good. I wouldn't be surprised if we see if this card should play. Moving on to Skyrider Elf. It's a accent Simic for 0/0 flyer. He enters the battlefield with its different color mana spent to cast it. So you would just cast it for 2 different colors, so mana it's a 2/2. If you cast it for the 3 different, it's a 3/3, and goes on and on and on. So it's a pretty decent flyer. It's an ally, so it triggers rally. It's pretty strong, limited big. Then we have Ulamog's Nullifier. It's a 4 mana 2/3 flash flying that he gets to cancel something if you process 2 cards. So I can see actually this guy be a pretty good side in control mirrors, and also for limited, if you manage to make good incest deck or processor deck, it will be pretty insane. Moving on, we have Veteran or Leader to round up our multicolored cards. So another one of the first cards spoiled from the dual deck. 3 mana, his power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control, and you get to tap an ally so he gains vigilance, first strike, or trample. So similar to Butcher of the Horde, he gets to do something if you make useless another creature for a turn. What makes in this case is obviously bombing limited, like most of the rares of the set are. For standard, if there is an ally deck, again, this guy will be a staple in it. Now, let's move on to the artifact section. We have Ally Hydro Network. 4 mana for an artifact that exiles all creatures with power of 7 or greater when it enters the battlefield until it leaves the battlefield. So it's a permanent prison, non-permanent prison, and it's actually a pretty good sideboard card, I think, if you are facing a lot of Eldrazi. For limited, yes, you play this on main deck, since most of the decks will be playing creatures that are very big. But for standard, yes, it's a sideboard card for big ramp decks, and if you can use it to be nifty and process some cards while this is still on the battlefield, more power to you. Moving on, we have Hydron Archive. 4 mana, so this is Evolution of Mind. So we had Milestone, now Hydron Archive, and then it was the other mana, 6 mana card that did the same, but it gave 3 mana and 3 and sacked you to draw 3 cards. So this card actually is pretty nice for limited, since it gives you 2 mana boost, and whenever you need, just draw 2 cards. Very nice. I don't see it constructed though, unless you want to do so many things with your control decks. Then we have the 2 Eldrazi hate cards. It's Hydron Blade and Pathway Arrows. So Hydron Blade is 1 mana, equip creature get +1/+1. It equips for 2, and if he is blocked by 1 more creature, you gain death. I don't think this card actually is very good, because the equip cost is really heavy. For the profit, unless you're playing a non-colorless deck, not very good. And Pathway Arrows are kind of the same. Again, 1 mana and 2 to equip, and you need also to deal 1 damage to a creature, and then you just tap it, don't do anything else. So no, these cards I think are both pretty mediocre to bad. Then we have a reprint for Pregless Eye, which was also always an okay card, but nothing too exciting. Then we move on to Slap Hammer, which is actually pretty interesting. So it's just a mana equip and equips for 2, and it does nothing unless you return a land to its owner's land. Otherwise, it's a +2/+2. So it's not very good, but if you have a creature with good landfall, this is actually pretty good. So it depends on the quality of the landfall creature you got. Yeah, the artifacts are not very good in this set for limited play. Now going to lands, we have Ally Encampment. A very good land for allies. If you have a bunch of allies, you're limited, this is used to run it. If allies ever become a thing in standard, this could be a staple as a 4-off. Moving on, we have the Blighted Cycle, so it's Blighted Cataract, Fen, Gorge, Step, and Woodland. So this draws 2 cards, so it's pretty good for limited. It might also seem some constructed playing control decks. This is sacrifice a creature, but I think it's way overcosted. 5 mana, it could be a 4 mana and no one would care. Still, it's an okay limited card, nothing too exciting. The other one is deal 2 damage, again not very exciting for 5 mana, it could be 4 mana, so not very good. This is the worst, because it just gains you life. Congregate, so no, it's very bad. And this is Explosive Vegetation, so it's pretty good. You get to ramp 2 cards. Chance for constructed, probably not, but you never know. Then we have the new dual lands that everyone is trying to find a name for. Canopy Vista, Cinder Glade, and Prairie Stream. And Smoldering Mars and Sunken Hollow. So these lands I believe are pretty good, because they're needed in starter right now, so your fetches can fetch duels. And I believe they have a legit shot in modern, because there are some decks need more duals and some other decks need that edge not run shocklands. So unlike most people, I believe that this card actually could see some play. Then we have the classic reprint of Evolving Wilds, because you always need it. Okay, you know it. It's a fixer in limited, pick it. Yeah, these cards in limited also are good depending on your color, obviously. Then we have the Cycle, Fertilite ticket, and the others we'll see in a second. So this is pretty good, because you get to fix your lands. It's like a better Skyland. Very good in limited. I think it has construct, but I said it is because it helps you keep worse hands. Also, the same goes for limited. Here we have a look at the gorgeous full art basics. These are, I think, from the intro packs, because they will do it again. You give the intro packs less duals anyway. Moving on, Looming Spires, it gives first strike +1/+1. It's not very good, I think, because +1/+1 first strike really doesn't do it unless you're racing your opponent. Mortar Mire is actually, I think, the best for the cycle, because you get to get one of your creatures back top of your library, and this will probably see play in absent decks, because you can return Citrino and other fun stuff. This card is actually very powerful. I'm surprised for the Spellland to be this powerful. And there is also the white one and the blue one. The white one gives +1/+1 vigilance. I think this is the worst one. It's actually on par with the red one, really. Fortunately, not very good. It's okay in limited, but not really. And this also causes a tapped creature not to tap. This is pretty good for limited, because it's like Frostburst for free. That being said, we also have our two manlands, which are Lumbering Falls. So tapped and then becomes a 3/3 hexproof. I want to see this card supported somewhere in modern, but I don't think there is a good Simic deck that needs this at the moment. But manlands are always welcome, so this card is pretty good. And we see plenty of standard play, and also it's pretty good in limited, because, okay, fixes your mana, it's actually another creature in your deck. And Stumbling Vent is the Ores of Manland, 2/3 with lifelink. Actually, this is pretty good. The only thing you can say about this card that could make it a little bit better is make it a 2/4. You couldn't have both lifelink and death, that would be very good then. And we also, for lands, we have Sanctum of Ugin. This land is pretty weird. I mean, it gives you mana, that's good. But if you play something with 7 mana cost or greater, you get to take a creature card and put it in your hand. I don't see how this card would work. I don't really like it, to be honest. And we also have Shrine of the Forsaken Gods, so a worse Temple of the Forest God. I mean, it gives you mana all the time, but then you need to do many stuff to get the 2 extra mana. I mean, you need to have 7 lands, and you can only use it for colorless spells, so I don't really like it. And finally, we also have Spawning Bed, which is like the land from Magic Cards that give you the Thopters. I think this is a little bit better, because you sacrifice it, you go for 5, for 6 mana, or 7 mana to 6, and then go all the way back to 9, and it gives you 3 bodies, so 3 blockers. It's very nice. And I think that's it about the spoilers. There is nothing else to discuss here. Just let's have a view at the beautiful full art lands. I will do a separate video later on for the expeditions and my thoughts on it. So that's the whole set review, guys. Thanks for watching. Especially if you watched all the way, please subscribe if you like the content, and see you in the next video, everyone.